Thorns of Roses is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which I haven't seen for so long, so I've probably missed quite a few hints and stuff, so you might not be hearing too much references to the film, but it has like a twist of what Sarah J Maas likes to throw in, and that is like fairy lore and fantasy and stuff. So we're following a girl called Feyre, who pretty much is what is keeping her recently poor family alive. She has to hunt for them, get money for them and everything, otherwise they'll starve to death because they can't do anything for themselves. And one night when she's hunting in the woods, as usual, she's used to the woods and everything, a wolf that is massive is kind of competing for the prey that she needs to get, which is a deer, and she kills it. Knowing that it may or may not be a fairy, she kills it and ends its life, obviously. So we follow her as she has to pay for the consequences of that, and that's where the more Beauty and the Beast aspect, I would assume, rolls in. I found this really difficult to review just because I feel like I might have been missing some stuff, and I don't know, it was just a weird one to review. I gave it 2 stars, and you might be shocked because, as I said, I do enjoy Sarah J Maas's writing usually. The reason for my lower than average rating is that for most of the book I found it so dull, so slow paced, not enough was happening. I found it tedious to get through. Although I managed to read big chunks at a time, it took a lot out of me to keep my concentration. And I think that even when the faster paced scenes were happening, I still couldn't concentrate as much as the story needed me to understand what was happening, so I had to go back and read whole passages again over and over just to make sure it sank in, and that just made for a frustrating reading experience. I found the sentence structure in this as well to be really confusing, and that's strange. Again, as I said, I've read all the books so far except for Queen of Shadows in the Throne of Glass series, so I thought it might be a similar writing style to that, but I found this pretty difficult. I felt like it would, like we were following some random thread of thought, like it would go somewhere, completely stop and then jump to another trail of thought, and I was like, wait, that sentence wasn't finished, I'm really confused, what's going on? I think that generally maybe the idea of a story like this would have been good, but I just, maybe my confusion and my unexpected displeasure, if that's the word, against it is to do with maybe the fairy side and a retelling of Beauty and the Beast not working well together. But with that said, I am glad that I managed to pronounce quite a lot of the words right. I think the only one that I was a little bit confused on was Feyre, and there's another one at the back, and May. I think I might have pronounced that wrong. But yeah, I do think I will continue with the trilogy, just because, I mean, it's a trilogy, so it's a short amount of stories to invest in, if it sticks to a trilogy, that is. And I don't know, if I want to know what happens. I think this may have potential, and I'm sure Sarah can change my mind. I mean, she has to. Yeah, that's all for the non-spoilery part. I'm going to go into the discussion now, so if you haven't read this and you want to, stop watching and then come back after you've read it, maybe. Okay, so first I just want to talk about the characters a little bit. I found that, just briefly, all the Maas seem to be quite reminiscent of the Maas in the Throne of Glass. I don't mean to keep comparing them because I know they're different stories, but come on, fairy lore in both aspects, strong male characters, one grumpy, one kind of grumpy but warming to you. It's just, and then one main lead character that everyone seems to fall in love with eventually, or like eventually. It's just, it's a bit too same. Feyre, I found her to be quite an annoying character, very undisciplined, and I know that was her role, but it irritated me quite a lot. Some of the decisions she made irritated me. Jurian, is it Jurian? Not Jurian. Lucien, sorry. Lucien I actually liked, but I was really confused with how hot and cold he was with Feyre, and I didn't understand the situation. Obviously, as events happened, it was more understandable, but it really confused me at the beginning. And Tamlin, I found kind of dull and just too tense for my liking. Obviously, situations was going on, but I didn't really connect that much with him. Feyre's sisters and dad. The dad I didn't mind too much, but the sisters really irritated me. Nesta did grow on me over the duration of the book, but still I wouldn't care if I didn't see them in the rest of the series. They just, I don't have a special place for them in my life, so yeah. I think the story generally just didn't excite me as much as I was expecting. I think the characters were kind of poorly described. For example, on one of the pages they described Amarantha with red gold hair, and then on like page 387 she had black hair, and I was really confused. I didn't know if that was fairy magic or if it was just an error on like Sarah's part or the publisher's part or whatever. But just little details like that really irk me, and it upset me that that wasn't fixed, or if maybe I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't. The ending was a complete Bella stunt. I mean, come on, she had to change and become a Howdee-haie in order to live. That's just totally Twilight, right? I mean, she was aware of all these new senses and she had to get used to her stumbling feet because everything was heightened and she wasn't used to it. It's just very Twilighty, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't expect that to happen. I thought they'd bring her back to life, but I didn't know she'd be like a Howdee-haie, so I guess it was unexpected, but it was a little bit of a cop-out. I think that there were quite a few plot holes that I probably should have made proper note on, but a few of them did get resolved at the end and you realised it was for a bigger plot. For example, like, why did Tamlin want her to fall for him, and why was Lucian kind of nice but then not nice, and why was everyone like trying to get her to talk to them but then shutting her down when she was asking questions. Obviously you realised that was the whole situation. They needed her to know what was going on really, but they couldn't let her know because of this curse, which I actually thought was really good. I loved the fact that the blight was actually Amarantha's curse. The way they word it, I can see over in my mind now that that was a pretty interesting like twist to it, like that being a curse. It wasn't just an illness, it was an evil woman destroying things pretty much. But I was really like, I took it personal. It was like a personal deceit when I realised all the household in Tamlin's like manor was glamoured and that they looked different to how Feyre had originally seen them, and I felt so bad when I started to judge what Alice really looks like. I was like, oh my god, I'm a bad human. I didn't mean it, it just sparked through my mind. I was like, oh, she looks like this, but I didn't mean it. But yeah, I did feel like a level of betrayal when I realised that there were more people living there than Feyre realised. But I can understand how that was part of the greater picture and how it needed to happen for Feyre to feel comfortable and whatnot. So another thing is, I wasn't expecting this story to be as romantic as it was. I just felt like it was definitely a bit too Disney princess inspired. For example, when Tamlin took off his mask and Feyre was all like, oh, he was everything I dreamed him to be. That was just too like cringy and it made me a bit uncomfortable. Some scenes were too lovey-dovey but tense, and that's just not what I'm into. Maybe not the best book for me to pick up, but as I said, I do believe that's all of my little notes I need to say. But as I said, I do think I will continue with the series. Sorry my thoughts were so indecisive. I was jumping from one thing to the other, kind of like the writing style in this. But yeah, I couldn't really collect them as much. As I said, it was really difficult for me to review. But if you've read this, let me know what you think. Will you continue on? Let me know, and I'll speak to you in another video soon.